My sister's dollhouse showed me the night she died. Hi Reddit. This is the first time I've posted anything like this, and honestly, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what happened. I'm not even sure if this fits into R Nosleep or R Paranormal, or just R Creepy, but here it is. I think my sister's dollhouse showed me how she died. My sister Clara died 6 months ago. She was only 10. I was 15. It was a freak accident, or so everyone says. We were both in the house when it happened. Our parents had gone out for dinner just a few blocks away. Clara had stayed in her room playing with her favorite toy, a huge wooden dollhouse that had been in our family for generations. My grandmother had it, my mom had it, and now it was Clara's. That night, I was in my room with headphones on, playing some game online with friends. Around 8:40 p.m., I heard something faint, muffled, like a thud. I pulled off my headphones and called out for Clara. No response. When I went to her room, she wasn't there. The window was open, which was weird. We lived in a 2-story house. Her room was on the 2nd floor. The wind was picking up, and her curtains were flapping like sails. We found her body in the backyard. They said she must have leaned out and fallen. A tragic accident. But something about that explanation never sat right with me. Clara was cautious, even a little scared of heights. She wouldn't lean out that far, especially with her fear of falling. After the funeral, everything went numb. My parents sank into their own private worlds of grief. I mostly stayed in my room, pretending I was okay. A few weeks later, my mom asked if I'd help pack up Clara's things. Her room had stayed untouched until then. The dusty air, old toys, her perfume still lingering in the sheets. I didn't want to go in there, but something told me I had to. I found the dollhouse covered with a cloth. When I pulled it off, the dust puffed into the air like smoke. The thing looked almost too perfect. 3 floors, tiny lights that still worked, handmade furniture, miniature rugs, and even family portraits made from cut-up photographs. I should have left it alone, but I didn't. That night, I brought the dollhouse into my room. I couldn't sleep, not sure if it was the guilt, the memories, or the eerie feeling of having Clara's dollhouse in my room. Just a few feet from my bed, sometime around 2 a.m., I sat up. The tiny lights in the dollhouse were on. I hadn't turned them on, thinking maybe there was a short in the wiring. I got up and flicked the tiny switch on the side. The lights went off. But as I turned to go back to bed, I noticed something odd. Little figures in the dollhouse had moved. There were 4 dolls, 2 adults and 2 kids positioned around the miniature dining table when I first brought the house in. Now, the smallest doll, the one Clara had always called, little Clara, was upstairs by the tiny window. My skin prickled. Maybe I'd bumped it. Maybe it shifted when I moved the dollhouse. That's what I told myself, but it kept happening. Every night, a week later, I was up late again. The house was silent except for the soft hum of the fridge downstairs and the occasional car passing by. I looked over at the dollhouse. The lights were on again. I stared for a long time. The dolls were positioned differently. The little one, Clara, was standing on the 2nd floor balcony now, peering out of the window. There was something in her hand. I leaned in. It was a piece of paper, so small I almost missed it. I used tweezers from my desk drawer to pull it out. It was a note. It's written in pencil, tiny letters, shaky handwriting. He was in the closet. My breath caught. I looked over my shoulder at my own closet, heart thudding. Nothing. The next morning, I asked my mom if Clara ever said anything strange before she died. She had nightmares, she said absently, sipping her coffee. Kept saying someone was watching her at night. That night, I went into Clara's old room. The air was stale. I opened the closet, half expecting something to leap out. It was empty, except for a few forgotten toys and a crumpled blanket. Almost closed the door, but then I saw something add a small hole in the back panel, like a knot in the wood had popped out. Behind it, darkness. I reached in with my phone flashlight. The beam caught a piece of something, a bit of torn fabric. I pulled it out. It was part of a mask, cheap rubber Halloween mask. I took it to my dad. Did Clara have this? He turned it over, frowning. No, I don't think so. I didn't. Sleep that night. The dollhouse changed again. This time, the adult dolls were moved. The male figure was in the closet, literally inside a miniature version of the dollhouse's closet. The tiny Clara figure was on the balcony again, facing away. A new note was taped to the inside wall. He watched me for days. I showed the notes to my parents. They said it was probably some game Clara had been playing. She had a vivid imagination, my mom said, trying not to cry, but I knew better. The notes weren't old. The pencil marks weren't smudged. The paper smelled new. Someone or something was writing them now. 2 days later, the police came to our house. There had been a string of burglaries in the neighborhood. An officer asked if we'd seen anything suspicious. I remembered the mask, gave it to them. The next day they called back. The mask had prints, belonged to a man named Carl Bridges, convicted sex offender, lived 3 blocks over. He'd been out on parole, but he died 3 months ago. Heart attack. The timeline didn't match. Clara died 6 months ago. That meant he was alive when she died. I looked up his mugshot online. He looked like the man from Clara's drawing, the one she had, scribbled and taped to the wall next to her bed. I hadn't noticed it before, a tall man with dark eyes, standing in the shadows watching. The dollhouse changed one last time. I woke up at 3 a.m. to see the lights flicker on by themselves. The dolls were all gone. Only the little Clara figure remained. She was lying in the backyard section of the dollhouse, arms splayed, face down. A new note was taped to the roof. Now you know. Tell them. The next morning I told my parents everything. The notes, the changes, the man in the closet. The police opened a full investigation. They found a ladder in Carl Bridges' old shed, the kind that could reach a second-story window. Think he snuck in that night. Maybe Clara saw him. Maybe she tried to escape. The official story was changed. Her death was no longer an accident. It was ruled a homicide. The dollhouse is gone now. It's burned it in the backyard. The lights kept turning on. Even after I took the batteries out, Clara's case is still technically unsolved since Bridges is dead. But I think she just wanted someone to know the truth, to see her, to believe her. And thanks to that cursed dollhouse, I finally did. My younger sister died in a freak accident 6 months ago. But after moving her antique dollhouse into my room, it started changing on its own, moving dolls, leaving notes. The dollhouse showed me she was being watched by a man hiding in her closet. Turns out, the man was a nearby predator who died months after Clara. Her death was ruled an accident till the dollhouse told me otherwise.